Hello and welcome to another reading. This story was posted by somebody of the name We've Got a Throwaway. Several years ago, I was driving back home from school with my little sister for Christmas break. She was in college, I was a grad student. And our hometown was about an hour from the city where we had studied. She was driving. I was the passenger. About 2/3 of the way home, I noticed a car rapidly coming up in the rearview mirror, much faster than our speed at 65 to 75 miles an hour. It was a white Hyundai Civic, and it wasn't slowing down, even though it was almost on top of us. We couldn't legally get out of the way because there was a car in front of us and a car to the right of us, and we were in the far left lane. At the last moment, just as I thought the car was going to hit us, it swerves onto the shoulder, goes past us, and then cuts in between us and the car in front of us, slams on his brakes. Luckily, my sister was alert, and we are in a larger car with very good brakes, so we managed to barely slow down enough to avoid hitting him. My sister lays on the horn and swerves into the now free right lane to get away from this guy. At this point, I'm fully alert, wanting to believe that this was just some reckless idiot, but realizing what I'd just witnessed looked very, very intentional. His next move confirmed my fear. As we move into the next lane, he slows down even further and then sideswipes our car. Luckily, as I said before, we're in a larger vehicle than his, and my sister manages to keep it under control. At this point, she is panicking, screaming, asking me what to do. I'm thinking 1,000 miles per hour, trying to figure out what to do, and also trying to figure out just what the ever-living fuck this guy was trying to do and why. There is an exit less than a mile ahead. I told her to stay behind him as best she can and try to get to the exit, leaving him on the highway and unable to follow us. For some reason I will never be able to fully rationalize after the fact, I hold off on calling the police, hoping we can get away. I guess I figured they couldn't do anything for us at the moment, which is true, and that my sister needed my attention more than anything at that moment. Plus, I had his license plate burned into my brain at this point. There'd be plenty of time to talk to the police later. The next few miles feels like it may as well have been 10. There are barely any other cars on the road, probably a good thing, and the maniac in the Civic continues to alternate between trying to brake check us and trying to sideswipe us off the road. Luckily, or so I thought, my sister manages to stay behind him all the way to the exit, mostly by swerving back and forth across 4 lanes as he tries to hit us. I try to tell her wait until the last moment and get into the exit lane, but she wasn't willing to cut it as close as I would have been. Unfortunately, she gives the maniac too much warning, and he swerves over at the true last moment and exits in front of us. At this moment, I decided it's time to call the police. I also remember about that time I have a pistol in my bag in the back seat, a subcompact 9mm. I have a concealed carry license. Of course, at this point, it isn't very useful, and besides that, I have no desire to shoot anyone today, not even a crazed maniac. Even so, I reach into the back seat and grab it while dialing 911. As I'm attempting to describe the situation and our location to the dispatcher, we come up on the first intersection with a red light on the frontage road. The Civic is still in front of us, although he seems to have stopped trying to run us off the road temporarily. I notice that one of the 2 lanes ahead is both a left turn and a straight-through lane, so I tell my sister to get into that lane in hopes that we can go to whichever way the maniac doesn't and get the fuck out of here. At this point, I've relayed our location to the dispatcher, as well as the fact that I'm armed. As we move into the desired lane approaching the intersection, the Civic does the same. The light is red as we approach, but turns green. Perfect. This is our chance. To my chagrin, the fucker turns to block both lanes and stops. At this point, I am almost as scared as my sister, my mind racing, reeling from the realization of what I might have to do. If this guy is willing to do all of these things that he's done so far, he clearly wants to hurt us. And if he is willing to get out of his car and come after us, he's probably armed. I tell the dispatcher the situation and inform her that I am armed and that I'm going to have to hang up. I don't remember what she said after that. I honestly wasn't listening anymore. For a few seconds, the car just sits there, waiting. And my sister starts to back up to put some distance between us and him. I think to myself that maybe he doesn't have the guts to go through with it. But then I remember he's already tried to kill us and fucked both of our cars up in the process. Then the door opens. He steps out. I'll never forget him. Short, overweight, bald Hispanic guy. Looked to be in his mid-20s just like us, wearing an oversized light blue hoodie and baggy jeans. He looked angry as fuck and he started to walk toward our car. My mind is still racing. I look one last time for an exit. See that there's just isn't one that won't put us into danger if he has a gun. We'd have to drive right past him. And realize that's it. I open the door and get out of the car, remaining behind the door, and start yelling at him. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was something along the lines of, "Back off, the police are coming." He looks straight at me and keeps walking toward the driver's side. It was midday. I have to assume he could see my sister through the windshield. I remember up to that point thinking over and over again, this can't be happening. It just can't be. This is too crazy. Or that he can't be serious. After all, we haven't done anything to this fucker. And then I'm thinking, what happens if I shoot this guy? Is it justified? Am I going to jail for this? Then he starts to reach into his pants, and that's it for me. I'm no longer thinking about legal implications or anything like that. All I'm thinking about is my little sister. I raise my gun and fire once, aiming for his lower midsection. The bullet goes high and hits him square in the chest as he drops. He didn't die immediately. I won't go into details, but he didn't get up, and he was motionless before the police got there. Of course, after all this, as relieved as I am we were safe, and as numb as I am given the unreal nightmare that I just experienced, the first rational thought that creeps into my brain is, I'm in a world of trouble for this. I could go to jail. At that point, I still wasn't sure that he was reaching for a gun, but it turns out that he was. It was a stolen gun at that, and it was later found that he was both drunk and high on cocaine, which I guess explains why all of this happened, since there was no other explanation. On top of that, one of the motorists on the highway who saw his original attempts to run us off the road called the cops even before I did. Although she was older and didn't give them a reliable location, so that they could get us before it happened. She did, however, corroborate our story. It was never changed, and beyond having to go through the very lengthy testimony and investigation process, there wasn't much in the way of legal implication for me. The crazy thing is, I went back to school. I didn't tell anybody about it for a long time. I just didn't think they would understand, without the context of being there, that they'd subconsciously think me as a murderer. It's true, what they say about the experience of killing someone. No matter the circumstances or justification, you never forget it. You never get over it. But I will say this. Never in the years since have any of the emotions I felt in connection with this incident have ever come close to approaching something I would call remorse. That man tried to kill me, and more importantly, my little sister, and he deserved what happened to him. I would do it again in a heartbeat if I had to, although with the benefit of this experience I would call the cops much earlier in the hope that I wouldn't have to. Honestly though, given the time it took for them to arrive, I'm not sure that it could have been prevented, even if I'd called soon. I just know I did the right thing. that concludes another story for today. I decided to upload 2 today. I had a bit extra time. I hope you all enjoyed it. Until next time, good morning, good evening, and good night.